All right. It is Thursday. I have Neuro Coffee in hand, and it is perfect. Welcome all to the Coffee and Coaches Conference call. Right? So there's multiple ways to gain motion. The question that becomes is, am I merely creating a temporary change that's associated with the tissue behavior, or am I actually shifting the fluid volumes that prevent motion from occurring in the first place? In your case, my question is, do you have a structural change that altered the constraints that does not allow one of those two mechanisms to occur? But that's typically why stretching fails, is because we're just getting a viscoelastic effect that is very, very temporary, right? And it might feel good for a little while. You might gain motion for a little while, but it never stays because the tissues will always go back. It's like a Stretch Armstrong, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So Stretch Armstrong is viscoelastic. So I pull on him and his arms get really, really long, and I sit him down and he goes like that. They teach levers in school. Like that's how we move, because people see on a cadaver, they see pulleys and ropes and levers. Dead guys do have levers. Live humans don't, right? So if we use that model as a representation of how we move, and then that's how you're trying to apply it, you'll be successful on some level because you're moving in the right directions under some circumstances. But then the model will top out when you start to recognize, like, oh, this isn't the lever. Ferris is back to work today, ladies and gentlemen.
Day three.
Day three?
Day three.
Because you know he's back to work. You know what? You know how you can tell, right? The staff is gone. Yeah.
It's coming back for Halloween now.
Oh yeah?
I'm going full dodgeball.
Just in terms of, from a conceptual standpoint, in terms of building out my model as a coach,
yep.
Something that I struggle to do is, in application, it's fine. Once I've got the context of an individual, it becomes so much easier to kind of explain and conceptualize and talk about my model when I've got an individual with whom to apply it to.
Right.
What I really struggle to do is to do that when I don't have the context of an individual with which to apply it to. And
Okay.
I'm also finding that when I run up against something that I haven't come up across before, obviously my model, I'm reaching the boundaries of my model and the limitations of it. What have you found most useful in terms of, because I'm super visual, so I really like graphical representations of things. And I'd just be interested to know what your experience has been in terms of developing those models, and if you've found anything useful in terms of graphical representations of them.
Yeah. Have you ever drawn it out? Have you ever drawn out your model?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's huge, first and foremost, because rather than having something that ruminates and spins around in your head all day long, getting it down on paper, but in general, it's literally going through that process, I think is the gigantic step one, because then it becomes real. And then you start to, I mean, literally, your piece of paper starts to grow,
yeah. Right?
And you say, oh my gosh, I have all this stuff that I have to account for, which you do, right? And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think that's step one. Step two for you, based on what you just said, though, is you say you do it fine when you have a person in context, right?
Yeah.
Why does it have to be a real person? But you've had enough experience with people, right? Mm-hmm. That you could probably come up with 8 to 10 examples, right? And then you run them through your whatever your visual representation of your model is.
Yeah.
And then that's what's going to help you start to fill the gaps. You go, oh, well, this person represented this. So under these circumstances, here's my expectation. Here's what I know from an intervention standpoint, what happened, right? And then you start to say, and then here are the probabilities, right? The why question is always the most important one, because that's going to lead you towards more information. Mm-hmm. Okay. And it will lead you towards more questions, right? But the why question is always the one that gets started, because people ask me all the time. It's like, well, you know, how do you learn to question? It's like, all you got to do is ask why, and then not be satisfied with the current answer. Questions are infinitely more valuable than answers. Answers are free.
I like that Feynman quote of, I'd rather have questions that can't be answered than answers that can't be questioned.
Isn't he awesome?
Yeah.
Yeah, we really missed out. We didn't take advantage of him while he was around, I think. No, but so think about this for just a second. It's like, what question do you not get answered when you type it into Google? I mean, it's that simple. But you got to ask a really good question to get really good answers back. So it's the quality of the questions, it's the intention of the questions that matters now. It's not about information. And Steve Bond, we always talk about education when you're on for some reason, because I think, you know, you're my connection to that. It's like, it's the questions that matter. Answers are easy. Kids, if a kid's got one of them, he's the smartest kid in the room when it comes to an answer. But if he's not asking good questions, he's lost, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it always comes down to the questions. That's where people are lacking now, right? The quantity of information is not a problem at all, at all. People should not be buying information. It's free. Okay, you ever get a pump?
Like the yoked pump.
Yeah, like
in the gym.
Talking about the pump and like
Yeah.
you know, he's the happiest guy in the world, right? Remember that one?
Started watching Terminator 2
If you don't
yesterday.
know what I'm talking about, if you don't know about that movie scene from Pumping Iron, you really shouldn't be on this call.